All right, today we are at the Orango Martial Arts Institute, Massapequa. That is on Long Island, for those of you that don't know. So if you're looking for a good karate school on Long Island, the Orango Martial Arts Institute is a place that you want to consider. This is at 593 Broadway in Massapequa. So let's step inside and find out where the magic happens. Greetings, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of On Point Voices, where we occasionally pop in and bring you interviews with the most important voices in the country today. And our guest today is no exception. We have the young dragon, Anthony Arango. Welcome to the show, sir.
I'm happy to be here.
Yes, sir. Let's rock and roll. We got a lot of information to cover, so without delay, let's get started.
All right, this is our main office here. We have our tiger rug up here. We have our two signed. We got our Bruce Lee right here and our Muhammad Ali.
Wow.
And here we got our Rocky Balboa. One of our students painted this Bruce Lee for us. And then right here is my father at the age of, I'm pretty sure, 7 or 8. Martial arts right here. First day.
Okay.
Good right here. This is our magical dragon chair.
This is the chair they got from the set of Enter the Dragon.
Absolutely.
Han's chair.
There we go. Right here we have this is full brass dragon. This is handmade right here.
Does it actually spit fire?
I wish. We got to test that out. This is our sign belt from Chuck Norris.
Oh, awesome.
We have our
tribute to Kevin Thompson.
Absolutely. One of our students hand carved this out of glass.
Whoa.
And this tattoo specifically, a lot of our black belts have all together on their forearms.
Awesome.
Okay, so these are mine. These are from the crane ratings right here. This is from when I was, I would say 12 to 13. And then for us, this is our plaque from our school that we won the award of having one of the most awards for one school. Overall grand champions.
Awesome.
Sign his certificate. So everybody gets that. Top part is black belts that were there, and bottom is guests.
We're now in the martial arts museum section of the dojo, as you can see.
Of our picture days, Carl Weathers.
That's not Carl Weathers, that's Apollo Creed.
Apollo Creed. That is an original poster from that movie that you cannot get now. That's a signed picture from Bruce Lee. Top right of the little photo.
And this is the actual training floor. Tremendous facility here, as you can see. A lot of space, a lot of weapons, a lot of equipment, a lot of good energy here. There's mats and even weights in the back. Okay, how old were you when you started training in martial arts, and how old were you when you made black belt?
I was 4 years old when I started training, and I was 18 when I got my black belt.
And how old are you now?
21.
Okay. And what was it like growing up as the son of a famous martial artist who claims he's not famous, even though everybody in the martial arts world knows who he is?
It was definitely a different experience. Seeing other people, talk about my father, talk to my father like the way it is, you definitely look at martial arts a lot different, right? You look at it as there's a lot more respect in this world, in this industry, than a lot of other industries, and I think that respect for martial arts is very important, and I think that that's something that I learned at an early age, having someone of the caliber like that as my father.
So, take me into the inner workings of the family dynamic. So, was martial arts training mandatory for you?
It was mandatory, but it was never a punishment. It was always a gift that I always had. I never looked at it as anything but an amazing experience.
So even though you had to do it, it was something that you really always wanted to do, basically.
Absolutely.
So it never felt like...
I was given an opportunity to work on something that I enjoyed.
Gotcha. And around the house, what was it like? Was he dad around the house? Was he sensei around the house? Was it 20 push-ups before dinner?
I have truly never called him dad or anything like that. He's always, ironically, he's always been sensei to me, but he will always be dad to me, right? I never refer to him as that, but he's sensei. That's always how he's always been, but it's never been, even though I do call him that, we have probably the best father-son relationship I've seen myself, and I feel very lucky to have something like that.
And how old were you when your mother and father split, went their separate ways?
8 years old.
8?
Mm-hmm.
So how was that decision made, like who you would stay with, and did you have input in that, or what?
My input, it was just to keep me in karate, right? So whether that was the right side or not, I had to, as long as I was in karate, that was who would best suit me. And that was who I was with, would be my father.
Wow, that's amazing. So would you say that you love martial arts?
Absolutely, with everything I have.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a preference? Teaching, competition,
I think that
or practicing, still being a student?
I think that all three of them go hand in hand. I don't think there's one that I prefer more than the other, but I love teaching more than anything, right? I love spreading the enjoyability that I get with martial arts. And I also, martial arts is not just punching and kicking. It's a life story. It's something that you have to follow. And I think that that gift is something that you should be able to give someone. And that's why I love teaching, because if someone can enjoy martial arts the way I can, I did my job as a teacher. For our katas, right? All of your strikes, your blocks, punches, right? Anything that you do, they all should be just as strong. Sometimes I see a lot of really strong strikes, strong punches, strong blocks, but then they throw something certain, like a knife hand block, and it's not as strong, right? Knife hand block is blocking a hand, blocking a punch from coming out. So I gotta throw it just as hard as my punch. Because if I want to come forward with a punch, I have to block it just as hard. And that's with everything I do, right? You should be blocking just as hard. I'm throwing it just as fast as a punch. Getting it strong, getting it clean, blocking it.
Okay, the system that you're a black belt in, the Orango system of martial arts, it was once described to me as a careful combination of what works. How would you describe it today?
I would say that, look, all styles, they have what they're good at, and they have some flaws. And I think that the ability to see what's good at what and being able to put them together is definitely a different way to look at it. But I think it's the correct way to look at it, right? I'll use back then, even though I'm 21, right? It was a style against style. But now, being able to combine it, right, you have more cohesive fighters. You have people who can kick and punch and can move. And I think that that's what we do. We do everything that benefits you without the ones that don't.
What are some of the styles that make up the Orango system?
We definitely have a good style of Taekwondo kicks, right? We have good round kicks, good spins. Boxing is definitely a big part of our thing. You should be comfortable as a fighter. You are only a good fighter when you have a good punch, and I truly believe that. And I think that boxing is one of those things that you should be able to develop. You should be able to come close. And that was
Switch. I only got one decent block, so that was great.
I can feel my elbow on that side better than this one. So, yeah.
that's a big improvement over the first round.
Yeah, that was-
over the first round.
Are you a boxing fan? Like, do you follow professional boxing?
I follow boxing to an extent, but I follow it so I can get better at boxing. I enjoy watching it. And I'm able to notice little things that I do from watching professionals. And that's something that I definitely got comfortable with because of watching them. So I'm going to sit back down.
How would you describe your fighting style?
Careful combination of what works now. I would say...
I mean, are you primarily a kicker, a puncher, a counter fighter, a runner, a mover?
I would say I'm definitely primarily a puncher, but I have the ability to kick, right? Everything I do has the intention of landing a punch. Whether I throw the punch or I throw a kick first, no matter what, I want to throw my punch. So I definitely say I am more of a puncher.
Okay.
I can kick.
Are you more offensive-minded or more defensive-minded? Are you a counter puncher? Do you like to initiate the offense yourself?
I'd say I'm very aggressive. I'm a good offense, but I definitely have defense. And I think defense I do very well at, but I think I could do both. I would say I'm a little bit of everything.
So some people use defense just to avoid the attack. Do you use defense like to set up your next attack, to set up your offense, or are you just worried
Absolutely.
about getting out of danger?
I use defense. Defense is used definitely to throw people off, right? Someone's coming forward, I can use my defense to throw them off. If they're not used to being able to get countered, then defense does work. Defense is one of the best things to counter someone, right? I don't want to get out of the way and then not do something, because to me that's wasted energy. You should eventually get out of the way sometimes, but I think that the ability to counter is very important for defense, right? You have to make the offensive person just as nervous for you to come forward just as much as them. All right, so distance and timing. Distance and timing is everything, right? Everybody has the same amount of moves, right? We have a front kick, round kick, side kick, maybe a good hook kick, and everybody has a good punch, right? We're all the same. But it's not what you do, it's when you do it, right? If you have someone who's throwing a lot of kicks, right, they can throw kicks all they want. But if you have someone who knows where to kick, that's a great kicker, right? And I want to put that with movement, right? If you have someone who's throwing stuff, right, they're not throwing it too much, you should be able to move out of the way and then come forward again, right? I want to learn how to be able to pull and then push forward. That's what we're going to work on today. Someone's coming forward. You have someone who's kicking on you. I don't want to keep moving back and I'm going to wait for them to come forward. I want to counter them right after they kick, right? So if they're coming forward, I want to be able to push back and then push forward again, right? That's what we're going to work on, our distance and timing. The second they drop that foot, I want them coming forward, right? I want you pushing forward and running them over. That's the goal, right? Once they drop, push forward immediately. They come forward, you can back up, they drop, you come forward again, right? All right. Good, so we're going to work on accuracy today, right? Being accurate. Every time I throw a strike with my bow, I should be able to hit the same spot, right? That's what makes it advanced, right? If I'm doing my strikes, I should be able to hit the same spot every time, right? Everything I do is accurate, right? So if I'm doing the bow and I'm wanding it too much, right, it's not going to look as clean. So when I do my strikes, all of my strikes should be same spot. Even when I'm in my stances, right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm striking the same spot. I'm not moving. Keep it in front. Same thing. Pop, pop. Boom. Same thing from here. I'm accurate. For competitions also, having your strikes in the middle is definitely perceived as a lot stronger. Right, if you're able to hit the same spot constantly, and it makes a good noise with the bow, I think that to me is a lot cleaner than sometimes pinpointing, even though to me pinpointing is a lot more impressive. I think that the average eye of martial arts likes the look of straight, strong strikes in the same spot. And I think that's what makes a kata very clean. When I say that most strikes, or if not all, most of your strikes should be in the middle, is because just like our katas, we should have a center line. I look at a center line. I have a center line when I do my bow. Not all of my strikes are going to hit the center line, right? My first 2 strikes, I feel like I'm doing a punch. That's why I have a center line. When you get used to being able to strike in the same spot, then you learn how to get accurate, right? If you can't strike the same spot constantly, just like punches, you won't be accurate. You won't be able to pinpoint when you need, right? So I always say that your straight bow strikes, if they're in the same spot, you're able to articulate where you want it from there. All right, so for our school katas, right, we have them labeled as kata 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So for me, I think that our katas do not have to get changed, right? They were made, right, to look clean for tournaments and for everything. So for our school, we don't have people change them, but one of the last things that you do before you earn your black belt is you have to be able to make up your own kata, right? Whether it's weapons, open hand, it could be anything. But you have to be able to make up your own kata. This is where, at that advanced level, where most people want to adjust their katas, this is where they can, and they can make their own, and that makes them their own person, right? We have our own bow katas here, but for me personally, I made up my own bow kata. Not because I wanted to adjust anything, but because I wanted the creative freedom to make what I wanted, and I think that we give that to everyone, and that's a really good opportunity.
Excellent. Okay. So isn't it true that you took it easy on him coming up?
Oh yeah, he got the special treatment, the white glove treatment. The black belts here were harder on him than I can ever be, because it would be emotional, and he would take it emotionally. So the black belts knew that they're gonna get it the way they got it, and he's the son, so they know that they have to make him a little tougher, a little stronger, a little better than everybody else, because he was the heir to the throne. So during that time, I made sure that I wasn't in the room, so he couldn't look to me to help him. He had to deal with whatever he had to deal with, and he had some rough instructors in here that were rough themselves, and that's the reason why he became who he was, because those guys would hit him or fight him harder than anybody he's ever going to fight, because they were more experienced, they were older, and they had that tough background, and that's why when he would go to a tournament, he wouldn't be afraid of anybody, because nobody would hit him harder than his instructors, and sometimes as a father, it was difficult. I'd have to leave the room, because I'd peek my head in, and he'd be on the floor because he got the wind knocked out of him, and the instructors would be going, "Let's go, we got to finish the round," like there was nobody going over to him and helping him. He had to help himself. But that's how you build character. That's something that you can't buy, you can't watch, you got to experience it. And he kind of brings that into his own teaching, because he doesn't cut any corners with any of the students either. But that's why the parents bring him here, because of our experience.
Instructors that I grew up with, one of them specifically being Sensei Brian Kombala, he was definitely one of the major ones in my martial arts career, I would say. He was the one knocking the wind out of me every Tuesday, every Saturday, right? He was the one getting me tougher. Nobody swept me, nobody hit me in the stomach, nobody pushed me more than him. Now to, talking about Sensei Brian, now that his kids are here, right? His son Logan and his other son Luke, right? Every time I would get the wind knocked out of me, I would have a medicine ball hitting my stomach, I would have a round kick hitting me. All I would get told was, "Your father did the exact same to me." And then now that his kids are here, I get to do the same thing to them. So I'm just passing the torch, just like he did to me.
All right. Okay, you've had a lot of influential martial artists that you were exposed to, throughout your life at a young age. Starting with your father and your mother, who's also a black belt. I think a lot of people don't realize that your mother, was also a black belt.
Absolutely.
So outside of the dojo, what was that like as far as training? Did you guys roughhouse around the house and break up your mom's furniture? Do you have any? Are you an only child? Do you have any brothers and sisters?
I have two sisters, and
older or younger?
Two older, and one of them is also a black belt here as well, who was also my instructor growing up.
Okay, so what's the age difference like?
I have one sister that is 27, and I have the other one that is 33.
Okay, so it's not like you guys are really hanging out.
No, I was very young compared to everyone else. They are 7 and 12 years older than me.
And how long were the workouts here in class?
Normal classes, they are around an hour to an hour and a half. we at least have an hour of normal work, and then we have at least 50 minutes to a half an hour of sparring.
So take me through your black belt promotion.
Our black belt promotions.
No, yours personally.
Mine personally.
Specifically.
Our black belt tests are a little different, including mine, where it's only one person, right? It's their special day. But it's more of a celebration than a test, right? We have our different tests. We have our curriculum that we test by, and we have a pretty brutal fighting test that we had before the black belt test. Our black belt test is just a demonstration of everything we know. And for my test, I had over 100 phenomenal black belts from across, I would say, the country to come see me, right? We have our black belts who sit in the front. We had at least 20 that sit in the front, right? I had at least 300 people sitting around our dojo in here, and just me in the center. It's about 3 to 4 hours, maybe 5, depending on how far we get. But
Any water breaks allowed?
there is a break. We have a list depending on each belt, and it goes from white to yellow, yellow to orange, green, orange to green, green to purple, and purple to brown, and then brown to black. And between each belts, we have breaks in between, just to get us refreshed. But the only thing that the black belt test is just a long class, right? It's just a celebration that we get to just show everybody what we know.
Calisthenics included or not?
Not in the black belt test, no. We do that included with our physical tests, which we have between each belt. We do a physical test, which is jumping jacks, push-ups, jump rope, sit-ups, leg raises, and horse stance on the wall, or wall sits. And that is not a fitness test, but it should be a warm-up for us, right? That should be something you should be able to work out and then fight, right? And that's one of them. Calisthenics absolutely is a big part of it, and that's always part of our curriculum.
What made the fighting part? So you said it was brutal. What made it brutal?
Every round for our brown belt test, every round you have a new sensei, a new black belt that you have to fight. It's 10 rounds. In between those 2 rounds, there's 2 separate rounds, round 5 and round 8. You have to fight 2 senseis at once, right? And for this, every sensei has been through it, and we all together have experienced that. Look, this is not a test of winning or losing. It's survival, right? And all of us together, this is what we go through, and I think that's what brings all of us as a family more than anything, because we all experience it together.
Gotcha. So what I was saying before, one of the things that's special about your upbringing is all the incredible martial artists that you were exposed to, seminars and things that you were able to attend, the heavy hitters that your father brought in here to the dojo. Could you tell us about some of those names that stood out for you and made an impression on you, and what you think you got from them?
I think by far, from the beginning of my life, I think that KA has been a big part of my spirit in martial arts. Someone who I definitely looked up to, who everyone talks great about. I have been fortunately very reluctant to be friendly with him and his family, and he has definitely had a big impact on the way that I look at martial arts and my spirit in martial arts, and he's definitely a big influence on that.
Why do you say you're reluctant to be friendly with him, though?
There is no one like him. He's one of one, and I think that for the people who got the opportunity to speak to him and have good conversations with him, which I didn't get to too much because I was very young, but there was definitely a way that I looked at him that I never looked at anyone else, really.
Interesting. Okay. I'll throw some names at you. Nasty Anderson.
I don't have personal experience with him, but the amount of memories and experiences I've heard from my father, and
you didn't attend the seminar when he came here? A couple of times your father brought him here?
I think I was too young, or I wasn't born for that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. But there are certain things that even he said to my father that I still use now, and I still repeat the certain things that he says, like for his fighting. Like for him, if he's coming forward, he's a train, and you got to get off the train tracks. So instead of moving back and getting run over by the train, you got to get off the train tracks. And I think that is one of the main things that I will always bring up about him, because that's one of the only things that, if I think of him, I think of a train coming forward and I got to get out of the way.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to interview him many times, probably more than any other martial arts journalist. And every time I got to sat with him, I felt like uplifted because he had such incredible, insight into the sport. I told you one of the things he said: if you can bore yourself to death, you can be a great champion. referring to the monotony of the training.
Absolutely.
But then again, if you're the type of fighter that likes training, then that's gonna make you a dangerous person because you don't even have that issue. And something else he said that was very interesting too. He said that he's never been cheated. Now understand that doesn't mean that that they never tried to cheat him, but he means that he's going to elevate his game. If he's got to hit the guy 20 times to get 1 point, mentally he's prepared to do that.
Absolutely.
So that's why I never believe in blaming the judges the way so many people do. The sport is subjective, and also when he trained with Mafia Holloway, he told me that they would break down the sport so minutely that they would analyze the best angle to throw a technique so that the corner judges would see it, and what angle they could block the incoming attack, from their opponent. I'm like, whoa, wow.
I was told once that I was a kid and I'm complaining about me losing a fight. I lost overtime 1 point, and instead of me complaining about the other point, I got yelled at and I got told, what about the other 5? Right? Don't leave it up to the judges, right? I want clear points. If it's close, it's close, but make it clear, right? I don't want to debate on if I got the point or not. I want people to look at what I do and be like, he got that point. He got that good kick, that good punch in. And I think that sometimes it is subjective depending on angles. But I think in general, you can make it clear. You can have good hits. And I don't think that's anything but your own technique.
Absolutely. Okay, another name, Ross Levine.
Ross Levine, he was very big influence on me. He definitely helped me through my bow katas. I would do privates with him like whenever I could, and I really got good at bow because of him. He gave me his insight, his way of doing the bow that made him so great, and I got to apply that to my bow and our system, and I think that really made me very unique to him. And also, he's a phenomenal fighter, and he definitely helped me a lot with my fighting as well.
So you worked on sparring drills and whatever with him also?
A little bit as well,
concepts
yes.
And things like that? Okay.
He's been to the school. I've worked with him a lot. He's done seminars at our school, so I've definitely gotten that kind of relationship with him where I really developed from him, right? I've gotten my own bow style from him and definitely improved my fighting from him. So he's definitely been a big influence on me.
Jadi Tenshin.
Jadi Tenshin, he is by far the person who helped my footwork the most out of anyone. He gave me a new perspective to fighting that I think no one else really has, right? He's one of the only people that uses metaphors for fighting more than anything, right? He uses conversations as fighting, right? In a conversation, you don't want someone to talk over you. That's like fighting. I don't want someone to keep kicking me, running me over, right? It's the same thing. And I think that for him, out of anyone, he gives a perspective to point fighting and to martial arts and to footwork that most people really don't pay attention to. And I think that that's what made him such a benefit to me, was his footwork and his insight on that.
Yeah, I think he's attained a genius level. Someone asking me, how do I fight Jadi? And I'm like, just pray. Yep. Because if you stand back, that's a scoring opportunity for him. If you kick at him, that's a scoring opportunity for him. If you punch, that's a scoring opportunity for him. So
in the martial arts industry, he has to be one of the best. I would use the term chess player out of anything, right? For what one move you have, he has 3. And I think that that's what made him so dangerous on the floor, was that whatever you did, he had a block, a move, and a counter, no matter what. And I think that gave him an opportunity to shine that most people didn't have, right? If you have one good technique, you'll be all right. But having multiple, it's just a different level.
Plus his range is ridiculous. You're standing back there thinking you're in the safety zone, and all of a sudden you get hit, and you're like, well, how did that happen?
Yeah, well, when you're that tall with long limbs and you're fast, you're on a whole nother level. And that's what definitely he was on.
Right. So when did you start taking teaching responsibilities here?
From what I've heard as a kid, I have always been correcting even adults with the things that I've heard. But I definitely started my teaching career at 11. At 11, I was about a green-purple belt, and my father would have me help out the classes, help the instructors, and kind of pinpoint how to teach. Because teaching isn't just showing someone what to do, it breaks it down, and
right.
It gets you better. And I think starting at a young age and teaching constantly, at my age now, at 21, I have 10 full years of experience of just teaching. And I think that definitely helped my martial arts a lot. I get to break everything down to a science and how it works.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to get to, how teaching helped you get better as a martial artist. Because I know when I started teaching, I started receiving like revelations and insights that I never got as a student coming up the ranks. But because I was teaching, these things were coming to me, and I was like, wow, great.
You know, moments of realization with your technique is definitely a big thing. When you're doing katas and you have to break them down, you look at your techniques a lot different. You look at how they work, what you're hitting, what you're punching. I think that that's what makes teaching so important, because you don't look at it at face value. There's layers to a kata, to fighting, that you only see if you really want to. And that's what makes martial arts just so impressive when you get to that level, where you can explain that, where you can articulate it to a science like that.
So what's the next level for you then?
In terms of
your development as a martial artist and or as a competitor?
As a competitor, I would just like to compete more, and I would definitely like to pinpoint certain tournaments that I would like to win. Right, that's my goal. I look at certain things, and at 21 now, I definitely want to pick up my pace and start achieving the things that even my father did back then, and I want to do it younger than him. So that's my goal. And for my progression, my goal as an instructor, right, I want to be the main person here, right? That's my goal for my martial arts career, and I want to be the biggest opportunity for kids to learn here. And I think that I'm slowly getting there. I'm slowly giving that influence that I have.
Forms, fighting, or weapons, what's your favorite?
I love fighting. I love everything about fighting. I would say that out of everything, I'm pretty well-rounded. I think I'm very good at bow and I'm very good at fighting. But I think I'm all right at bow and I'm all right at fighting. Let me change that. But I think that I enjoy fighting out of everything. There's a level to fighting, a succession with fighting that you only get with that, right? There's a feeling of punching someone or kicking someone or getting hit and learning. And I think that those experiences are what makes fighting enjoyable, right? I can punch and kick Bob all I want back there, but if I'm not working on what I want to with someone, I think that feeling of gratitude that you get from hitting someone isn't as important as doing katas and doing bow, even though I love them both. But I think that my gratitude towards fighting is a lot bigger than kata and weapons.
And what weight division do you compete in?
I range weight a lot, but I naturally sit at around 180. I would like to get down now to about 170, 165 and be lower and fight at that range. But
and how tall are you, 6 even?
I'm 6 even, yes. And I would like to sit at that weight. That weight is where I feel the best, where I don't feel sluggish, because when I do get to the heavier weights, I do feel like I'm pulling more weight than I have.
Favorite technique versus most effective technique. So in other words, like my favorite technique was always spinning axe kick and hook round, if I could hit you with both the hook and the round.
Right.
Those are the ones where I got a special like level of satisfaction.
Yeah.
Most effective though was, side kick and back fist.
Absolutely.
So which most effective and versus favorite?
I think that one of my favorites is definitely, and most effective together, is definitely my side kick. I definitely base a lot of my fighting off of my side kick. I can throw a lot of hook kicks off of my side kick. But my favorite kick that I do is my axe kick. I think I developed that from someone very close to me, my father. He had the same kick that he was known for, and I think that axe kick is something that you either have or you don't, and it is definitely a dangerous kick to be at. So,
who's your toughest competition out there, or some of the top guys in your division?
Top guys that I fought, Tyson Ray is one of them. Tyson Ray is one of the quickest people I've ever met on his feet. You can blink and he's hitting you.
Yeah.
Right? There's something to
his blitz is like unbelievable.
Tyson Ray was also the first person I ever competed against. And he has been...
His underbelts?
Absolutely. As a white belt at 4 years old, I fought against him. And to this day, we've been competing back and forth. Not as much now, since he's traveling a lot more, but he has definitely been not only my very close friend, but a big competition and a big rival for me, someone to push myself with. Akil Williams, another tough fighter, one of the people that genuinely hits as hard as me. And I think that that's what makes him so enjoyable to fight, is that I don't feel like I'm just tapping with him. I'm fighting him. And I don't get that feeling as much with anyone else as I do with him, the times that I have been able to fight him. Trey Williams is one of the most well-rounded people I've ever fought. Someone who's 6'2", right? He can move. Maybe he's taller than that, 6'3". And he could throw multiple kicks. He could push forward. He has footwork. He could fake, right? Everything about him. I enjoyed fighting him just because I got to see what I had to work on. And I think that fighting someone like that, where they are so well-rounded, you really see like what you have to work on. And I think that's what makes my enjoyment fighting him like that.
Okay. When you were growing up, elementary, junior high, high school, was martial arts your whole life? In other words, come home, do homework, hit the dojo. Were you allowed, or, I'm going to say allowed, were you allowed to participate in any other sports, extracurricular activities?
Absolutely. When I was younger, I played baseball, I played lacrosse, but my
Younger meaning what, in elementary school?
In elementary school, middle school. My main sport, though, was always wrestling. I started wrestling at 8 years old. I joined the Massapequa program, their youth program, and I went all the way up to 12th grade. And wrestling has been, not only from martial arts, but wrestling is definitely a different perspective to martial arts. That I think that when you have the comfortability of groundwork, you are on a whole different level than someone else who's not, right? A what-if scenario going into the floor is not an issue to me, as if to someone else who doesn't have that comfortability. And I think that...
Exactly. If someone takes me down, I'm like, okay, I surrender.
Yeah. For me, look, I'm comfortable. I want you to take me down, right? Because I know what I can do from there. And not only that, I trained in jiu-jitsu for a while. We would go to BBJJ in Brooklyn, and every Friday from when I was the age of 7 to 14, I was doing jiu-jitsu there. And I think that's another level too, where not only can I take someone down or I could punch them, but I can also now choke them. And I think that well-roundedness has given me a confidence that I definitely wouldn't have without it.
But how were you able to combine the two, wrestling at that level? You were wrestling at a high level, and martial arts as well, because, wrestling is so demanding, and then you have to cut weight, make weight practices. The practices are grueling in wrestling. Wrestling is, as a sport, man, that's
Tough sport.
Physically demanding. You can get, that's great for your physical fitness. So how were you able to reconcile the two?
I think that with jiu-jitsu and wrestling, I think that there's a lot in jiu-jitsu that actually made me unique to wrestling. I wasn't very crazy in certain techniques for wrestling, but my background in jiu-jitsu made me a little different to wrestle than anything else. I was very good at throwing at a light weight, which most lightweight kids do not throw. So I think that gave me a level of comfortability that, again, if I'm close, I have that level that I could do it if I want to. And I think that most kids just don't have that. And whether my wrestling skills outweighed most of their wrestling skills or not, I think that having that little bit of maybe a judo throw or some form of throwing from jiu-jitsu definitely helped my comfortability, especially with being in uncomfortable situations, right? In jiu-jitsu, you're getting choked, you're getting submitted, right? Being uncomfortable, you have to get comfortable with. And I think that jiu-jitsu gave me that comfortability, being uncomfortable for wrestling.
But to go back to how you reconcile the two, in other words, during the wrestling season, was martial arts just relegated to the weekends?
Yes, wrestling at that point was at that time was my focus. So from November to February, maybe March, I was almost 100% wrestling. So that's about 4 to 5 months out of my year. And then the rest of the year, I really focus on martial arts as much as I can. I did do off-season wrestling. So in the summer, I would go to different states. I would do different tournaments. And I was training a little bit as I was wrestling. But I think there's definitely, they're both definitely tough sports. And I think that me separating them got me good at both, really focusing on one and the other. And I think that putting them together, I wouldn't train for each one all together. I always did singularly by themselves because I really wanted to focus on, like I said before, the science of each style that it is. Wrestling is a whole nother thing than jiu-jitsu, and so is that compared to martial arts. So every time I did it, I really tried to, at that moment, keep them together and keep them strict.
Okay, gotcha. Is there anything else you think it's important for people to know that you would like to include in this story?
I think that truly that everything I've been through, the people I've met, the opportunities that I've been given, I'm no one else than a normal person, and the opportunities that I got, they did help me, but I think that in total, hard work out of anything is what's going to make you great, right? I've met a lot of awesome, phenomenal people that I'm very fortunate to meet, but no matter what, I think that hard work is something that you can't get out of. right? And no matter like what I did, there was always one common denominator, and it was training as hard as I could to get good. And I think that even the people that I've met, everything that I've done, it all stemmed and went to that. Just training hard and really focusing on my craft.
The kata that you created to go from brown to black belt, do you still remember that kata?
Absolutely. It's the bow form that I use at tournaments now.
Really?
Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
I started it with Ross Levine, and I started it as a 14-year-old, 15-year-old, right? And we would adjust it a little bit. And now that I'm 21, I've had this form for over 7 years, and I'm still adjusting it, and I'm still learning new moves. I just saw a YouTube video on Michael Bernardo, who's my favorite bow person ever, and I'm still in .25 speed trying to figure out certain moves he does and put them in my katas. And that's what makes martial arts enjoyable to me, is that I'm never done. I'm never finishing something or putting the period on the sentence, right? I always have it keep going. Right? If I want to stop there, I'll put the comma, but I'll keep continuing. And I think that that's what makes my bow kata so enjoyable to me.
Awesome.